a warm welcome to all of you. And as you all know, that time to time I get motivated to meet my friends, but I get motivated to discuss on certain topics which are of real concern for the consumer. And as you all know, that the last edition of our magazine, our chief guest has arrived, our keynote speaker. So we are complete as far as our speakers are concerned. So as I was saying, in the Aware Consumer magazine, in this current month, we carried a story on exposing the nuances of maximum retail price, or which we call very fondly MRP. And as I said, from time to time, I like to meet my friends who are active within the consumer protection domain, and I organize such webinars to understand what they feel about it and how we should go about it. And we are going to talk about what this MRP is all about, and we have a very sound expert with us today, who I consider is one of the most knowledgeable person in India, who has done enormous amount of research in terms of how to understand what MRP is and how it works. So without wasting any time, let me introduce you to the keynote speaker, Mr. Rajiv Nath, who is the Managing Director of Hindustan Syringe and Medical Devices Limited and President of the All India Syringes and Needles Manufacturers Association, as well as the founder and forum coordinator of Association of Indian Medical Device Industry, with over 350 members nationwide. HMD created a niche for their disposable syringes, which is branded as Dispovan, which is today the most popular brand in syringe market in India, with over 60% market share, and thereby displaced several multinational corporations, which has created a history and an inspirational case study for other homegrown entrepreneurs in India. This organization was founded on 2nd of August 1957 and formally inaugurated on 4th January 1959, was conceived to cater to the emerging needs of the medical professional across the globe. It was founded by a visionary with whom I had the opportunity to meet and converse and also get mentorship. The founder of this organization, late Mr. Narendra Nath ji, who is the father of Mr. Rajiv Nath, and he created it with very simple kind of a objective, which is to serve the medical profession with affordable world-class medical devices, aiming to secure a predominant position in the global healthcare industry by harnessing research, technology, and manpower for the better good of mankind while promoting patient safety. The idea was to manufacture and market products of international standards and offer them for the benefit of the patients and doctors at prices, again repeat, at prices that no other local manufacturers would find it possible to compete with, without compromising on the quality and safety of the product. Friends, you must be wondering, how this gentleman who is from the industry is hobnobbing with the consumers. And he has been a good friend of mine, let me tell you, because right from my beginning, when I shifted to Delhi and I started working on consumer protection in Delhi, He was one of those people from the industry whom I saw very honest, committed, passionate to support the consumer movement in the country, and has always been a leading force in guiding us without any commercial interest. He used to always talk to us on consumer protection and never about his product and his industry or his commercial business. It was a really encouraging, and these are some of the people who has been able to make me sustain my work for the last 45 years. Manish ji, please unmute yourself. Mute yourself. Okay. So friends, what I would do is, I would first make all of you listen to the keynote speaker. And then we'll have a very good interactive session, one by one, of course. All of you have to raise your hand. And I'm going to monitor this. And I will take the privilege of calling out names of people who would speak. And I would like to tell you in brief that it's a very interesting kind of a conversation we are having today. We have lawyers amongst us who are very competent, who know the subject. They will also talk. We have very long-drawn professionals who have had long innings with a lot of industry and institutions of research. They're all with us. You can see how we are gathering in terms of speaking about MRP, because it's a very important phenomena for consumers to understand the value for money, because that's the indicator which tells us how much we need to pay for that product or service. So having said that, I would like to invite the keynote speaker, Mr. Rajiv Nath, a domain expert, talk to us and give us his views on which we will deliberate, because our bottom line is we have to streamline this unfair trade practice which is going on in the country, and we are all victims of this unfair trade practice. And we all know that why we define it as unfair trade practice, which I will talk to you all later when I get a chance to speak after Mr. Rajiv Nath has spoken. So without any more taking your time, because we have limited time with us, Rajiv ji, I would request you to unmute and come and speak. And I would request others to kindly mute themselves so that the speaker is not disturbed. Rajiv Nath ji, the mic is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Bijan Mishra. And thank you all the readers of the Aware Consumer magazine and other stakeholders who have kindly found time to come on board today to not only listen, but also share their own thoughts, their concerns and their angst about the whole issue which has been troubling us for a long time. If I have the co-host rights, I can possibly share. Yes, I can. So I will just briefly go through this presentation, and then I look forward to receiving your inputs and your feedback on what our thoughts are. I'm speaking not only on behalf of my own organization, but I'm speaking on behalf of the wider industry as IMED, the association that I represent as a forum coordinator. I'm not a president or anything like that. We have a different kind of hierarchy which is managed in IMED. So I'm not a president or a secretary general. I'm just a forum coordinator.
You can go to the slideshow.
Yeah, I'm just going to the slideshow. So going back to the basics, we talk about maximum retail price, MRP. I think what consumers are interested to pay is not the maximum retail price. That is the maximum price at which a retailer can sell as the maximum labeled price, what they're interested to pay is a fair price. So the whole presentation is going to be focusing on fair pricing for ensuring fair care, and why medical devices need to be treated differently than other consumer goods and even pharmaceuticals, why it needs a different kind of regulatory framework. Why we need a separate framework is because, number one, unlike other consumer goods, you cannot bargain and you cannot negotiate a discount from a retailer. You can go to various mobile phone shops, you can ask for a discount or a scheme, and even a direct retailer like Apple will also give you various schemes. Even a car supplier or a car showroom also will give you various discounts or schemes, depending you're selling buying on cash or EM or something like that. So there is nothing which is not sold below the MRP. Many items, or practically all the items in consumer goods, you can negotiate and buy less than the MRP. Whether it's a firework, a book on Amazon, anything online, even a restaurant dinner, you can bargain and choose and get at a lower price than the labeled price. Even a hotel room, the hotel may be having the room which is at a defined rack rate, but you can always get a price which is discounted below the rack rate. So that's the upper limit. Not in medical devices. In medical devices, the consumer is always sold 99% on the MRP. Very rarely you'll find a hospital selling you below the MRP. There are many good retailers I know of in towns like Agra, Varanasi, Kerala, even Delhi, Bhagirath Place, or also opposite AIMS, many chemist shops who will voluntarily sell below the MRP. Why? Because there will be 4 or 5 such shops opposite a hospital, and then they have a healthy competition, and then they're voluntarily selling below the MRP. But these are rare. Majority of the cases they are selling, especially in a hospital, at the MRP. And when they are selling to you, they are normally guided by the profit margin and by the premium they can get. You are in the market to buy a car, for example, and you want to be buying something which is, you're a thrifty middle class person, so you want to buy a Maruti or you want to buy a Toyota. You're not having the money to buy luxury cars like Mercedes and Audis and Porsches, and neither are you interested. That's for the rich people, you will say. You laugh it off. I just need to go from point A to point B. I need something which is functional for my family. I don't need to overspend. But in the hospital, they will decide what is good for you. You may be wanting value for your money, but they will decide that this is premium quality, this is what the patient needs, and I'm getting the profit margin and the price to charge for that. That's what I'm going to be pushing. And in most cases, you will, if the research is done, and we've asked the government a number of times to do studies, for some strange reason, the government has been shy of doing such studies for many years now. The last time they did such study was for stents and orthopedic implants and nothing after that. We would like them to do a study and to demonstrate to all of us that what is the ex-factory price or the import landed price and what is the MRP being labeled over there. Let everybody see for reality where the MRP is being abnormally high. So where it is not 3 times or 4 times, it is 10 or 20 or 30 times higher than the landed price, something is wrong. And that's what needs to be regulated. We don't need regulations if people will self-regulate. Unfortunately, this is a market. We have failed to self-regulate and we cannot. So we've been asking the government to regulate. Normally industry runs away from regulations. IMED has been one association who has been seeking regulations, but we want rational regulations. We don't want that when we go over there, the regulators will cut our hands. Unfortunately, in India, that is the problem with the government. They'll simply not regulate, and when they will come forward, they will over-regulate and make it non-sustainable. So in pharmaceutical, you've got the drug rules. You've got the Drug Price Control Act. Devices are not drugs. We're not chemicals. There's a huge innovation. you're going to buy thermometers, you're going to buy blood pressure instruments, you're going to buy a syringe. There'll be a variation in the kind of thermometers you buy, like you buy mobile phones with various features. The same thing over here. There's a lot of standards. So you'll have a 1 ml syringe, you'll have a half ml syringe, you'll have a 3 ml syringe, you'll have a 5 ml syringe, you'll have a 20 cc syringe, you'll have a 50 cc syringe. And within that, you can have a Leo slip needle nozzle, you can have a Leo lock nozzle, you can have an auto disabling feature, you can have a safety needle feature. So it cannot be possible to keep the same price for all. There will always be some innovation and some ex-factory price differentiation, which may not be there in terms of drugs. In drugs, the profit margins are so huge that you can have pretty much nearly the same price for many of the drugs. And the drug style of price control order, which when you supply to medical devices, we have seen that it has been distorting competition. Ethical manufacturers lose out to people who want to monopolize or who want to charge a higher price or give a high profit margin. Normally, higher the quality, higher the price. We can show you so many cases where poor quality products from low end of the manufacturing are having higher MRP than the high quality branded manufacturers. Why? Because they want to use high margins for convincing retailers to push their products. So somebody in between gets caught. The imports at high margins and the ethical Indian manufacturer is losing out to both the upper end of the market and lower end of the market. He will lose to the lower end because lower quality is also putting a higher MRP than what he's putting. So how does he play? Then he has to adapt to the market. And once he adapts to the market, he is not able to follow his moral conviction of giving what is affordable to the market. So what is actually happening in the market? Pacemakers, which we are importing at about 25,000 rupees, are being sold to hospitals to you at over 2 lakh rupees. Syringes, which we make at 2 to 3 rupees ex-factory, are being retailed at sometimes more than 30 rupees. It can be 10 to 15 times. Many manufacturers will be keeping 3 to 4 times MRP to ex-factory price, but many will be keeping also 10 to 15 times the ex-factory price. IV cannulas. By competition, over the last 20 years, the price of IV cannulas has come down from 10 rupees to 6 rupees. As the consumer gained? No. 20 years back, we were retailing, putting the MRP over there of hardly 45 to 50 rupees. Now, just to keep the customer and to keep the distributor and the retailer and the hospital happy, we keep on increasing the MRP and it's crossed 120 rupees, 20 times the ex-factory price. Have we got more money in our pocket? No. Manufacturer is not getting 50 paisa extra. It's a completely misnomer that we are giving MRP and we're giving kickbacks. We don't give kickbacks. We don't have time to meet the people. We don't have time to meet the nurses in the hospitals and to create kickbacks and systems like that. It is a whole system where the trade margin is being pushed to the end of the retail chain, and they are the ones who will decide what profits they need and which brand they will keep. If they don't find it enough, they will simply not buy that brand and they will stick to the existing one or move to another new one where they find it more profitable. Similarly, for heart valves, you've got the heart valves coming in at 4 lakh rupees. MRP is 26 lakh rupees, 6 times the value. So what has been IMED's solution? We have discussed this many times between ourselves, and nearly 10-15 years back, we came up with a formulation which we've been telling the government to work upon. We failed to understand why the government is not working on the manufacturer suggestion. Why did MRP come? MRP came during the license Raj many years back when there were shortages of food consumer goods. The government said we can trust the manufacturer, we cannot trust the traders and the distribution who are being opportunistic. So they asked the manufacturer to put the MRP because they could trust the Tatas and the Birlas, but not the traders. That's how MRP came into position over there. Manufacturers got the onus what should be the fair price at which consumers will buy. Now this onus has come to us even for medical devices. Are we doing a good job? No, we are not. We are forced to follow the system and the marketplace and the consumers are being misled and ethical manufacturers are losing out. So what is our suggestion? Number one is, where does the goods enter the country from? For the imports, they enter when the custom duty and the GST is being charged. For the Indian manufactured product, when they leave our factory gates. So when GST is charged the first time the goods enter the supply chain, that should be the starting point of from where you make the price calculation, whether the ex factory price on which GST is charged first time or the import landed price on which duty is charged the first time. And on that, you put a multiplier or you put a trade margin. We have created ourselves a formulation which we think is a reasonable one. Why reasonable? Because you have to keep the product supply chain profitable enough for all the traders so that they're able to keep the inventory, resell to each other before it reaches the consumer. If you keep the margins too low, products may not be available in the interiors. They may be available only in cities where the high volume of business is there. It may not be profitable for them to sell to the small towns, from small towns to the villages, villages to the thalewala to the retailer or to the RMP or the small doctor in a village in the interiors over there. Because all the transportation, logistics costs have to be considered also in that gross margin. So what we are wanting to seek is move from the labeled MRP to labeled fair price. And that fair price can come from this formulation. So this is our proposed margins. We made a very simple logic. If any product is more than 1 lakh rupee ex factory or import landed price, typically it'll be an implant or an expensive instrumentation. On that, on 1 lakh rupee item, the trade channel is very short normally. Normally, manufacturer will be selling directly to a hospital, or he'll sell through a distributor, or a distributor will sell through a dealer. So normally there'll be 0 or maximum 3 people involved in the supply chain. They have to share the profit margin, the inventory carrying cost, the credit cycle, the rentals, the training cost, all that. And for that, we think a 50% markup is enough. Margin is enough. So a 1 lakh rupee item can be sold at maximum 2 lakh rupees to a patient. On 2 lakh rupee MRP with a 50% margin, that should be enough for keeping everybody satisfied. So the heart valve case you saw earlier, which was at 2 lakh rupees, this was at 4 lakh rupees. By this formulation, it should be MRP should be at 8 lakh rupees, not 26 lakh rupees. Now, 8 lakhs may sound a lot to you, that why double? But that is the reason I've given to you. Consider that currently you're paying 26 lakh rupees. So 8 from 26 is going to be a big benefit from you. The second is something less than a 1 lakh rupee item. Say between 1,000 rupees to 50,000 rupee item. For that, we are recommending that it should be something like 66%. That means 3 times the ex-factory price. So if a pacemaker is coming in at 25,000 rupees, the MRP on that should be 75,000 rupees. And currently, what is the MRP? It's at 2 lakh rupees. By our formula, the price will come down from 2 lakh rupees to 75,000 rupees. Okay. Syringes. Most items come under the category of less than 10 rupees or less than 20 rupees ex-factory, most consumables and disposables. But you pay hundreds of rupees for these consumables and disposables. Again, by the same formula, it should not be more than 4 times. So a syringe which is leaving ex-factory at 3 rupees, the MRP should be maximum should be at 12 rupees. IV cannula at 6 rupees, the maximum MRP should be at 24 rupees. Currently, it's 120 rupees. So from 120 rupees, we can bring down to 24 rupees. And we saw that in the case of stents. We saw that in the case of orthopedic implants. MRPs were reduced by 85%. Now, you can't reduce every medical device by 85%. Otherwise, the traders will not be able to run their business. What is required is reasonable profit for everybody. Reasonable profit for the importer, reasonable profit for the dealer, reasonable profit for the distributor, reasonable profit for the stockist, reasonable profit for the chemist, reasonable for the hospital, reasonable for the manufacturer. And by this kind of margin splitting, which we have discussed number of times, because we were putting the MRP not now for nearly 20 years, 30 years. But this game of increasing the MRP has only started in the last 15 years when the government allowed the MNCs to put their own offices in India, and they displaced the Indian distributors and started marketing directly. Then they said that our product may be more expensive, but it is still profitable for you and worthwhile for the hospital. And they could justify that by giving the trade margins to the hospitals to push their product, even if the prices were higher than ours. So you could have an imported syringe higher than Dispoman, but the hospital will push that, telling you it's higher quality and justifying that higher quality with that higher MRP than Dispoman. And we've been losing out by being ethical. Other way is to match that margin and match that price and not keep it the ex-factory price 2 rupees and the retail price at 7 rupees, but keep it also at 15 rupees and satisfy. But that is where we could lose out on. Orthopedic implant is the one area where you need to have a higher trade margin. Why? Because when you supply orthopedic implants, it goes as a kit. And over there, you must take out the screws, the bolts, put it inside the body or see close to the body what actually size is required. And the surgeon will then decide whether which length or diameter he wants. And accordingly, he will make a decision. The rest of the products he may reject. It's not bad quality, but he doesn't need them. It's like a buffet for him. The rest of the product will go back to the dealer, from the dealer back to the manufacturer for repacking and re-sterilizing and coming back again into the system over there. Or he may not even be needing to open the pack if it's not a kit. The sterile pack will go back, again come back to him later on. But for this service, because the dealer representative is sitting outside the surgery in the ICU and the OT theater, and he must make the call of keeping the inventory from morning to evening. That man is sitting over there keeping all this variety of products available for the surgeon's need. For that service, he needs to be given a higher compensation margin over there for the service costs. What are the benefits that will be available to all of us now, especially the patients? The patient will get affordable access. Manufacturers will be having ethical competition in the market. There'll be a level playing field. There'll be transparency because the GST is being applied, so it's on an e-way bill. Nobody can fudge an invoice. Because it's an e-way bill, the GST is something nobody is going to tamper with. So both for the imports as well as for the domestic market, the GST is applied on the discounted price. If anybody is giving a discount post GST, that is his problem. But normally the GST is applied on the discounted ex-factory price. So that becomes the basis. And by doing this, we'll not only be helping consumers, we'll also be encouraging Make in India and innovation. And consumers will gain because the more products are made in India, the more choice will be available, the more innovation that can be, and better will be the quality from healthy competition and more affordable the product. We've already seen the success stories of stents and e-implants. People said MRP cap hoega to shortage ho jayegi. There were no shortages. The imports are still playing in the market. Those brands made a lot of hue and cry, went to the court. But did they leave the country? No. The market was too huge for them to walk away from. And again, like I said, MRP and the overseas manufacturer, they do not get impacted by the MRP. Who gets impacted by the trade margins is the supply chain, the importer, the distributor, the trader, or the retailer, or the hospital, not the manufacturer, overseas or Indian. And you have better access and more patient savings. So the way forward is to have separate regulations. We recommend that 5 to 7 products may be given this kind of formulation. The government may use this as a pilot case in the market, see the advantage of running this pilot. During COVID times, the government did try to come out with a pilot scheme, but based on the advice given to by the MNCs. So thermometers, oximeters, they were having a trade margin cap, but the trade margin cap was done incorrectly. It was done on the basis of the importer's selling price, not the manufacturer's Indian landed price. So the manufacturer and the importer were kept outside the ambit. Importer is a trader, he's not a manufacturer. So the importer's trade margin should have been part of that supply chain margin. It was not. With the result that the margins for the imported thermometers and oximeters, oxygen concentrators were much higher than the Indian companies. So more than 25 to 40 factories which came up in COVID time for each of these shortage electronic products in COVID, they are no more in the factories, no more running now. Maybe 3 or 5 people have succeeded and survived. And how they've survived is by playing the MRP game, by launching new brands with the trade margin to satisfy the retailers and the consumers, sorry, the supply chain with the same profitability which the MNCs are giving. That is not the right way. So we would recommend that the government should have a regular review and stakeholder consultation. Who are the stakeholders? You are the consumer, the hospital, the retailer, the doctor, the nurse, the distributor, the dealer, the stockist, the importer, the manufacturer. Keep everybody happy. No need to keep anybody dissatisfied. But what is irrational, please stop it. You patients deserve a fair price, not inflated margins. Let us make it affordable and ethical and proudly made in India. And for this, we would recommend that kindly join us. We have a movement to make this fair price movement, which we call. The last slide, unfortunately, I missed out. I think I picked up the wrong presentation, but I will share with you all. We request you to join this movement with Mr. Bijon Mishra and other consumer-minded organizations so that we can educate the policymakers, we can educate ourselves and safeguard our interest. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you, Rajiv ji. What comes out is that you have
Sorry,
been.
this is the one.
What comes out is that you have been very transparent in giving us figures based out of your own industry, which, as you know, information is power, and empowerment of consumers on credible information actually enables the consumer to make an informed choice. And we have always been working on that. Rajiv ji, can you take out the...
Yeah, I'm just showing the last slide, and then I'll just remove.
Yeah, sure.
Because I think that's important for you.
Please show.
It's not visible?
No, not yet. Yeah. Now we can see. Yeah, it actually captures what I was trying to summarize. Transparent pricing, empowering patients, and industry accountability. Three very major dimensions in terms of giving the value for money to the consumer. Because today we are all confused in the marketplace because somebody gives us 80% discount, somebody gives us 10% discount, somebody gives us 5% discount, which is very erratic and irrational at times. And we start wondering whether we are buying a genuine product or not because of such discounts which are being thrown on us. And we get further confused that how to tackle this issue, because I will develop that in the closing session after listening to all my friends who have joined and taken time to join. So I would like to hear them first, and then I would like to conclude. So first I would like to call upon our senior most board member, Mr. Praful D. Seth, who is a very renowned pharmacist, pharmacologist, and been globally known. And I would request Praful Bhai to first not only give his own experience, which we have shared in our magazine, but also react on what Rajiv Nath has said in terms of way forward. Praful Bhai.
Thank you, Rajiv. Thanks a lot for a lovely presentation. I think, as usual, it has been very enlightening, and what you are proposing to do, I hope that it's picked up fast, regulator is appointed, and they do their job regularly. I have 3 issues, actually, which I would like to raise. Over time, the consumers in India have been taken for a ride on the issue of quality. Now you are as an industrialist, you know that you only have one quality, isn't it? You don't sell two qualities. So what is this game of the quality? That was one point that I had in mind. I think it's time that the industry stops playing this game and takes consumers into confidence and tell them there is only one quality. Imported stuff is not a better quality. There is some disturbance coming.
No, I muted Girish.
Thank
I
you.
muted Girish. Yeah.
Secondly, as we have stated in our magazine, my column, that over the period, we have, consumer is very trustworthy. A consumer has always taken whatever is stated on the label as the fair price. And yet, you buy anything from Amazon today, you get fantastic discounts. Now, where is that discount coming from? The second thing is that if I go to a hospital, I don't get discount on my medicines. But if I go to a retailer, then he is very happy to give me that discount, 10%, 15%. The third is supply chain. In the supply chain, who is responsible? The industry, wholesaler, retailer, or trader? What is it? Where is this game being played? Can you throw some light?
Okay. So, Praful Bhai, you want Rajiv Nath to respond right away?
Either right away or at the end, after you have captured all the questions.
So, you are over with your questions?
Yes, Vijayanda, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I would now straight away go to our very learned legal expert, Sanjay Chadha-ji, who is one of our esteemed board members, also to give his viewpoint on what Rajiv ji presented. And as a legal luminary, I would like to hear from him. How does a consumer gets himself protected without getting into litigation? Because as you know, I am one of the person who hates litigation because it's not only expensive, it is cumbersome, it is long drawn, and it is frustrating. So I would not like to get into litigation in my country ever in my life if I have the choice. But being law-abiding citizens, I cannot but to go for litigation because I can't do gherao and stand on the street and stop traffics and things like that. We are not of that kind. So we go legally and we try to resolve the dispute which we have with the policymakers and lawmakers to come to conclusions. So Sanjay Chadha-ji, the mic is yours. Please unmute and come.
Thank you very much, Bijon sir. प्रफुल्ल साहब को मेरा नमस्कार and Rajiv bhai बहुत बहुत नमस्कार आपको भी. And wonderful presentation, as I can say, and I was there also. Rajiv ji has discussed it, the MRP part, in a very excellent manner, and the best thing of what I read when I was reading our magazine. So all the things were very coherent in the same manner and very nicely presented. And what I feel is that he took one example of his own industry and where he shows us the mirror, he showed us the true position as to what exactly is happening. Now, if I may talk generally, now what is the proposition? If I may say so, after listening to him, my concept with regard to MRP, which was earlier, Vijanja will, is giving a smile to it, that I was up till today thinking that MRP is nothing but a fair price guaranteed. This was what I used to feel, and it is not me, but everybody in the country is thinking like that, that this is the MRP, so we have to see that below this, whatever. So this is a fair price written on the object. And on the other hand, when we see and go into the market, as somebody gave example, sir only gave the example of online buying, you get a handsome discounts. How it is managed? What now I feel is MRP. I'll just in a very short say what I have to say, and then we'll come to Rajiv Bhai, who will give us better explanations. I think MRP is a upper ceiling decided by manufacturer or the seller, whatever, they decided, and government has no role to play. This is one thing. Second, what is the objective when we go to the law? As if I may tell you, the legal proposition is the objective of MRP is nothing but to protect the consumer. But it is the other way around. Shockingly, it is the other way around. If you go and buy a medicine, I remember my father was not well. So he was at the end phase. He was detected with GB syndrome. So for that, when I had asked, I named the hospital also, Apollo Hospital here. They said, 5 injections every day, and 7 days we have to put those injections. And one injection is for 35,000 or whatever, I don't remember it also. And then somebody told me, look, if you buy it from ABC, there will be, the doctor only told me that you buy it, I'm giving you the number, he'll give you 1 injection free also, and this, that, and you buy it, he'll give you 40% discount. What is this? What is the use of such MRP? Why? So my first question to you, Rajiv ji, would be, why they put MRP? What is the use of this MRP in medicines, especially if we are talking about? Similar thing goes when you buy on Saturday, on Wednesday, when you buy chai ki patti from Amazon, the price is 600 rupees. When the MRP is 620. When you buy it on Wednesday, it is 510. I mean, something of that sort is also there. Big Bazaar and all those, they have a Wednesday sale. So I think it is nothing but a dhoka with us. A fraud is being played upon the masses. Now, law is very, I think law is what I wanted to use the word stupid, but law is literally stupid here, which says above MRP, selling at above MRP is not allowed. That's all. It says that's all. It's not allowed. If somebody is selling it, it is illegal. Very good. Of course, rules must be there where if there is a complaint and the complaint has been filed and then action is taken, which will take years, as we all know. So meaning thereby 3 more minutes, I'll finish it off. Then, so nobody can sell. Look at this other thing. You go to airport, you buy a coffee there, it's 600 rupees, 500 rupees. Restaurants, their prices are. So my big question is how we are deciding MRP. Number one, though in India, the law says that manufacturer or the seller has to decide. Number one. So I would request you to guide us. Why can't we ask the government? Because it comes under Consumer Protection Act, Ministry of Consumer Protection. So why can't we ask that MRP should be regulated? These price fluctuations and the way inflated pricing is done in the name of MRP should be stopped. It's cheating the consumer basically in the clear-cut term. So we should have some mechanism. Like I was talking to Bijonda a few days back, where I had asked him how we can settle this. Then he said that there should be in the product, it should be written that this much is the cost, this much is the profit, this much is this, something of that sort, he said. But whether our people are going to disclose it this way, that this is the profit and this is how we are working. So I think this MRP concept, it should be immediately scrapped. The way it is painful rather. It should be removed. And if at all you want an MRP, it should be a very, very strong and a reason-based MRP system should be adopted. That's what my take in.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Sanjay ji, whom I call very fondly Sanju. Very nice. You have given your viewpoint. And we will answer all your anxieties and questions. Yes, I did tell you that we have to build some mechanism. But of course, giving so much of information on a packaging is not possible. So we'll have to find a mechanism like what Rajiv Nath said, that maybe their association will come out with some data which would be more transparent and more credible for the consumers.
I just want to say one thing.
Yeah, please, please.
Rajiv ji, Praful Saab, and all the people who are sitting here, I just wanted to say that we are also live on YouTube, where we have so far more than 300 people have joined there also. So that is one thing, though in a very short notice we are doing it. So that is one. There are very important Mr. Dheeraj Chopra. One Mr. Dheeraj Chopra is written, MRP should be minimum retail price. Sir, MRP is maximum retail price is a scandal as per him. He says that in every industry, including pharma and diagnosis industry, this is there. So, I mean, comments are coming there also.
Very good, very good. So you have a lot of work to do because you have gone live, so you will get a lot of live questions. So please respond to them because they will be anxiously waiting to hear from you. Very good. I would now go to a journalist, a great friend of mine who is a health journalist who writes on health, and he always covers stories on patients' rights and patient safety and things like that. So Dhananjay ji, if you can just unmute and come. Dhananjay ji, aapka reaction.
I have unmuted myself, but my point is why I am not being seen by you people. Why my video is blocked?
You should ask your camera.
And I asked my camera, but you cannot start your video because the host has disabled it. The host has done it.
Host, please unmute
It's
the
done, sir.
camera.
We can switch on your video.
Please switch on the video.
सर उनसे मेरी क्या दुश्मनी है?
आपको वीडियो चालू करना होगा. ये ना हुआ.
हाँ, कर लिया. मैं कहता हूँ सर, एक तो मैं अभी हिंदी में बोलूंगा. कंज्यूमर को ग्राहक कहिए अब सर. ग्राहक बहुत पॉपुलर हो गया है आपके किताब के बाद, इसलिए कंज्यूमर अब नहीं, अब ग्राहक सब बोलेंगे, सारे लोग ग्राहक बोलेंगे. Sir, Rajiv Nath ji has enlightened us about the underbelly of pharma trade, and what I have concluded that pharma trade is a godless trade, godless domain, and even hospitals, they don't have mercy for patients. This much I gathered from what Rajiv ji told me. As a health journalist of over 3 decades, I was also sourced to underbelly, but I didn't know this much. Thank you, Rajiv ji. Thank you, Rajiv ji, for making us a tour of the underbelly of pharma trade and hospitals. In Amrit Kal, I think this state of affairs is the poison for patient. The government should do something about it. As a grahak, I told that day also, कोई ग्राहक जो है कार खरीदने वाला ग्राहक उसके पावर में है कि वो एमआरपी को कम ज्यादा कर सकता है। हर प्रोडक्ट का ग्राहक एम वो है, राजा है। वो उसको कम ज्यादा कर सकता है। एक पेशेंट ऐसा ग्राहक है बेचारा, जो नहीं कर सकता कुछ। उसको जो बेचेगा वही लेना पड़ेगा। तो ये फेयर प्राइस मूवमेंट जो है, जो राजीव नाथ जी ने शुरू किया है, मैं उनके साथ हूँ। एज ए जर्नलिस्ट मैं आज से अब इस मुहिम में जुड़ जाता हूँ, और पेशेंट को इससे बचाना है सर। ये कॉन्स्पिरेसी ऑफ हाई एमआरपी, इससे पेशेंट को बचाना है। और आप ही बचा सकते हैं सर, ग्राहक के तो सेवियर आप ही हैं। सुन रहे हैं ना सर?
सुन रहे हैं, सुन रहे हैं। हम लोग
ग्राहक के सेवियर तो आप ही हैं।
हमारा
तो
हमारा जो शोल्डर है वो कुछ
जी,
एक सीमित वजन ले सकता है, उससे ज्यादा नहीं।
आप
जो हम चाहते
ये
हैं
बात
कि
तो
आप भी अपना कंधा दीजिए।
दे रहे हैं सर। फार्मा लॉबी बहुत पावरफुल है। हम और आप मिलकर भी उसका कुछ नहीं बिगाड़ पाएंगे। लेकिन राजीव नाथ जी को शाबाशी है सर। किसी बिजनेसमैन को मैंने ये कहते नहीं सुना है कि एमआरपी बहुत हाई है, इसको कम करो, फेयर प्राइस करो। ये एकमात्र बिजनेसमैन हमने राजीव नाथ जी को पाया है, और इसीलिए उनको हम सलाम करते हैं सर। इसीलिए सलाम
नहीं नहीं,
करते हैं।
आपने
और राजीव
आपने
जी हमारे।
आपने देखा होगा कि उन्होंने एक सक्सेस स्टोरी भी बताया स्टेंट को लेकर। जब वहां
बिल्कुल
हो सकता
बिल्कुल।
है, जब ऐसा हम लोग एक उपलब्ध प्राप्त कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि हमको अभी भी
जी
मालूम है, आपने ग्राहक का मेंशन कर दिया, हम किताब में भी लिखे
जी
हैं कि आज
जी।
इंडियन कंज्यूमर वहां तक पहुंचा है जहां कभी हम लोग सोच
हाँ
ही नहीं थे। कभी हम लोग ये सोच
बिल्कुल।
नहीं सकते थे कि हम लोग पहुंच पाएंगे, लेकिन हम
जी
लोग
जी जी
इसलिए पहुंच पाए क्योंकि एक कानून बना कॉल्ड कंज्यूमर प्रोटेक्शन एक्ट ऑफ 1986। लेकिन
जी सर।
कानून बनने के बाद भी जो बदलाव हम
जी,
लोग चाह रहे थे वो अभी तक नहीं आया। और उस
नहीं
समय
आया है।
हमको याद है, यू नो, 2019 1970 में हम लोग जब एमआरपी पे बात कर रहे थे, आज भी हम लोग वहीं पर बात कर रहे हैं। तो
जी जी
मेरा
जी
ये कहना है कि हम लोग काफी जर्नी किए हैं, काफी ग्राउंड कवर
जी।
किए हैं, लेकिन
बिल्कुल
अभी भी वो ट्रांसपेरेंसी और अकाउंटेबिलिटी कंज्यूमर के सामने नहीं है। हम लोग उसी पे
जी
रोना है, उसी पे हम लोग आवाज उठा रहे हैं, उसी पे राजीव जी भी एज एन इंडस्ट्री रिप्रेजेंटेटिव वो बोल रहे हैं कि हमको ट्रांसपेरेंसी लाना है। वो कैसे आएगा,
बिल्कुल।
आज का ये परिचर्चा में हम लोग खत्म करेंगे इसके बाद। लेकिन हम चाहते हैं
जी
अमित जी, एडवोकेट अमित जी, हु इज द होस्ट, please allow people to come in terms of whoever wants to speak, and also allow their camera to be switched on,
Sure,
uh,
sir.
so that we can see who is speaking. So please raise your hand who wants to come now. Next, after Dhananjay ji. Yes, Nageshwar Rao, you want to speak? Please unmute and come. He's a consumer activist from Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. Please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much for the nicest opportunity. It is my pleasure. It is my pleasure to listen to a good number of speakers who have got the authority on MRP. Firstly, we understand that pharmacists, there is no control on fixation of pricing. So we are forced, we do not have an option to buy different products. Number one. Number two, as people have been telling us, once we get into a hospital, we are left with no other alternative but for purchasing the products um, uh, that are being prescribed, the medicine that is being prescribed. Very, very recently, in the District Consumer Protection Council also, people have come forward to compare two prices. You do find 20 times more than what the price is being charged by a physician. Well, when injection is being see certain devices, certain medical devices which are fundamental in making use of it, you do find 10 to 20 10 to 20 times extra. So we do not find reasonably, the pricing is not being made reasonably. So we particularly feel that that regulatory mechanism is required. Regulatory mechanism is required. So I appeal to your kind selves, kindly make use of your good offices with the government as well, in the policy making bodies. We must find a place. We must find a place in fixing the pricing system also. That is my first priority. That is the first priority. Price monitoring system is needed in fixing the prices. In fixing the prices. Thanks.
Very
Thank
good.
you. Thank you.
Very good, very good, very good. We would all agree to your proposal. At the end, we will definitely consider to summarize what you have said, and we will go ahead in terms of in the coming days, months, and years to make our dream come true, like we have been able to do on many various other fronts. We have been able to succeed in this also. We will succeed. Be rest assured. So I saw somebody's hand coming up. Sanjay Chadha-ji, you had raised your hand again. I had seen somebody else had also raised the hand.
Mr. Abraham Jacob had raised his hand.
Jacob-ji, please come. Jacob-ji, I've seen your hand. Yes, please allow Jacob-ji to come. I can't see you. I can see your head.
Yeah, sorry, I'm in a bit of a dark place. You can't see me properly.
Why are you in a dark place? Come to a place
because the window behind me, it's a little. The light is from behind.
We are all looking for light. Take away that curtain behind you.
Yeah, no. Even taking it'll make it even brighter, so you won't be able to see me. Sorry,
Okay,
sorry about that.
Yeah,
just quickly. Yes, two things. First of all, this is actually a very, very important point to be discussed, because we know that there are institutions who are saying that, look, we don't look at quality. We will buy the product with the higher MRP because they are able to charge a higher price. They're from the poor patient which comes there. And this is actually something which really needs to be addressed. However, the problem is that any regulation comes with its own pitfalls. For example, you will have that if we have our product in the market at a particular MRP, tomorrow we have either a foreign buyer, a foreign manufacturer who comes into the market, offers the same product, higher MRP. Now the hospital will say, okay, I'm going to get a better margin from that. I will go there. Or my competitor is going to come out into the market and say, I'm going to offer a different brand, the same product, I'm going to offer it a different brand, higher MRP. Again, the hospital is going to go there because they're going to get a better margin. So there is a problem in that sense. That's one part. The other part is, for example, I am making medical gloves. Now I have different types of gloves. I have gloves for specialty requirements, and I have gloves made of synthetic products, which are much more expensive than the ordinary glove. Now, the whatever is the monitoring mechanism should be able to distinguish between the different cost and pricing from the manufacturer's side to the next level, whichever it is, whether it is to a distributor, dealer, whatever, then that has to be also be taken into account. So these are the two things I wanted to mention about that.
Very good. Very good. Next, please. Who wants to come? After Mr. Ibrahim, who wants to come? Anybody wants to come? Yes, Sanjay Chadha. Acha. Harpreet ji. Harpreet, please unmute and come. Amidia, please help Harpreet to unmute and come and make his camera visible. Sanjay ji, Harpreet, please come. Yeah. No. Somebody else who wants to come?
We can proceed.
We are not able to get Harpreet. Manish, you want to come? Or who wants to come now?
Yes, Manish Sabharwal here.
Yeah, please. Go ahead, please.
So, what Mr. Rajiv Nath had said and others also, similar, that is a general issue with all manufacturers. It's a vicious circle. If we do not follow the trade and hospital requirements by keeping a higher MRP, we are slowly losing the domestic business. We have to forcefully export because there this kind of discrimination is not there, and we do lose a lot of market share due to even small new manufacturers who do not have a good quality product. They are keeping very high MRP and they gain market share in the trade and in hospitals, although visibly their products are inferior and doctors and users know, but they still favor them due to higher MRP and higher margins.
Yeah, I know. You have used the right word, the vicious cycle. We are all party to that. Next, please, who wants to come? Pramodji, you have come. Why don't you say a few words? Haripriya, you want to come? Girish, Gaganji.
Yes, sir. What I would say is, in this
please.
case of MRP, it is always. One second, let me just switch on my video. Yeah. So, in case of MRP, you can put a lot of restrictions. You can create a lot of laws, but then there is always people find another way out because Indians are very intelligent. So what we can do is, what I would suggest is, prices less than 5,000, you can divide that into 3 parts and let hospital keep the restriction on the margin what they can put in. I think MRP would be there, let it be there in its own place, but keep a margin restrictions on at each tier so that these hospitals will not be able to charge more than what the product price is. Because many times what we have observed, we share the same feeling as the person from Dr. Sabharwal's, because the hospital, they go for the product which has got a higher MRP and where they get a lot higher margins. And many times these hospitals want 50%, 60%, 70% margin, which you can offer only by playing with the MRP. You can't just do that by playing with your product quality, because there the product quality is not of a concern. So all these multinational hospitals are aiming for that. I think it is better that we put the government should put a restriction on what their purchase price is. On that purchase price, they can keep a cap for the product, say less than 5,000 rupees, maybe 25-30%. For product anywhere between 5,000 to 25,000, 20,000, 20%, or more than 25,000, put a restriction of 10,000. So their margins will be taken care of, their services will be taken care of.
Yeah, very correct.
Because no matter, you can't put n number of restrictions, and it is not practical. And then we are giving, by putting lot of restrictions, we are giving, we are inviting the government officers to come into it and spoil again by having a corruption in such cases. So it is always better that such a kind of a restrictions should be put on the hospitals for their margins.
Good. Anybody else wants to come in? Anybody else? If not,
बिना चीनी के?
Yeah, Sanjay ji, you want to say something? Sanjay ji.
I think whatever is stated by all the people here, the only concern is why, first of all, why this MRP? And if MRP is there, then why not a correct MRP? It is misleading. The current system is misleading.
So let me tell you, Sanjay.
And one last thing which I want to know from
Yeah.
you, sir, or Rajiv ji, what is the proposition in Europe and US? What they follow? What is the
Good. I was going to cover that. I
please?
can see Rajesh Shahani ji, please come. You have raised your hand. Please unmute and come and put on your camera, please. Rajesh ji. Amiditya ji, please help people who want to come to put on their camera.
Rajiv ji, please switch on your video.
He's not unmuted himself also in the mic. I can see his mic is still muted.
I have unmuted him, sir. Is not Rajesh, sir. Please try to unmute yourself.
I don't know why this problem is happening. It never used to happen earlier. But anyway, I think because maybe there he is. I can see him now. You have to unmute and come. Your mic is still muted. Your mic is muted. Rajesh ji, you have to unmute your mic. There is a icon which shows mic. You have to unmute that. You have not been able to unmute your mic. In your system, you have to unmute the mic. Then only we can hear you. Your mic looks to be muted. Yeah, now I think you are coming. You have
Am I audible? Am I audible now?
Yes, you are loud and clear.
So
So
I would
see,
like to address my learned friends whom I have heard with great patience and zeal, and I really appreciate the views they've given to us. But somehow, after going through all this, I feel that we are somewhere on a wrong page or a page which is on the side of the actual fact. All that my learned friends have talked about is that due to the higher MRP or unreasonable MRP or this thing or that thing, the consumers, mainly the patients, are suffering because hospitals are charging on MRP. I think I'm right. I have understood you right. Now, if I go through it, what we all are asserting is that hospitals are charging. And we want to regulate the MSMEs and we want to regulate the businessmen who are the core of this nation. We want each packet of a medicine or a strip of a medicine to show the balance sheet of that particular MSME or a trader or a whatever. So should we show all the balance sheets throughout which are in the line for trading the thing from manufacturer to the consumer? Why don't we regulate the hospitals for that? Are we regulating the fees of the doctors anywhere? No. But people, we are just looking at the end point, hospitals. We are not looking at the industry, which is putting so much food for or rozgar for so much people, which are doing so much good for the country. ऐसा नहीं है कि हमें MRP को कुछ नहीं करना चाहिए या नहीं देखना. I am not of that subject. What I am saying is that just, putting up regulations on MRP would be increasing a noose more onto the necks of the people who are actually working. How can you regulate MRP by, because you see, everybody's cost can be different because of the quality, because of the working environment, because of the place he's working. Here, you cannot regulate the labor laws. You cannot regulate the cost of labor state-wise, even in one country. Every state has a different wage rule. Every state has a different cost. And moreover, I tell you, if we are going to regulate some, you can say, margin of the traders and all that, are we going to regulate the cost of the shop in each of the markets or each of the states? How can we do this? So this is what I felt after hearing all my learned friends. I just came out with it. Please excuse me if I,
No, 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 no. You have
do
raised a very
some
valid point.
offense to somebody.
No, no, you don't. Why do you have to say sorry and all that? You have raised a very valid point, Rajesh ji. Now let me come in. Let me come in, and let me
Yeah, sure. Welcome.
and let me give you my 45 years of experience in the consumer movement. Let me tell each one of you what is my perception and how I have learned. Today, the only people who have the authority to know or scrutinize your balance sheet are the income tax people under the income tax law. They are the only authority who can look at you. I remember I was invited by Dr. Harshvardhan, the Union Health Minister, to be in a committee to look at the menace of cuts and commissions in the health industry, in the healthcare industry, how referrals were getting incentivized and how cuts and commissions were being paid irrationally to the middlemen and to intermediaries who used to refer patients to one doctor or to one hospital and vagera vagera. There is no law today in our country to control that. The only law which we have got is the Income Tax Act, where the income tax people can know exactly what is the cost of the product or at what cost the manufacturer has billed to the government in terms of taxes. Taxes are levied at your factory cost price. So whatever you reveal, and let me tell you, it's an intellectual property. At what price you manufacture, how do you market, what is your strategy? Those are all intellectual property. You cannot tell people to come public in terms of your costing because that's your competition. You have to make sure that you are able to trade and be competitive at the marketplace in a manner where your consumer will be delighted to buy your product because you make it most affordable and of high quality. So we should all understand that the constitution of the country is very clear. It says that you cannot be unfair and injustice cannot prevail in the country. When I say that, what I mean is that as a consumer, I have all the right to know what is your cost price on which taxes has been levied and the government has collected revenue out of your business to look after the governance of the country. The consumers are more than willing to pay a price which delights the consumer. If I want to go to a five-star hotel and pay 300 rupees for a cup of tea, I willingly go and pay that. I don't crib because I get an environment which is conducive. I get a person who is well-trained, who is courteous. I get an ecosystem which delights me and I can afford it. But at the same time, certain citizen cannot afford more than 10 rupees for a cup of tea. So it is the responsibility of the government to ensure that nobody is denied with a cup of tea. Everybody should get a cup of tea in the manner that he or she wants, at a price what he or she wants. But what the consumer always wants, which I have been always saying for the last 45 years, is transparency. In front of me, that 10 rupees cup of tea is made. I can see the tea leaf he is using. I can see the fuel he is using. I can see the vessels he is using. I can see the container on which he is serving me the tea. And I myself notionally calculate that. And then I say, yes, it costs maybe only 2 rupees, but I'm willingly paying 10 rupees because I want this man to be having a livelihood and taking care of his family because he's giving me a cup of tea. Similarly, when I pay 200 rupees in a five-star hotel for a cup of tea, I also calculate in a notional manner. But what I don't understand, and this is where, I come back to what Rajiv ji mentioned, that our cost is 6 rupees. How can you dare take, I don't remember now the figure, that 6 rupees was how much, but it was more than 100 times, I think.
120 rupees.
Sorry?
120 rupees, 20 times.
So how can a 6 rupees product, by the time it comes to me, is 120 rupees? I want to know that. Yes, I want to know that, in the sense that if my calculation is wrong or my perception is wrong as a consumer, then I have to correct it. That there are people who take 30%, 40%, 80% from the price which I'm paying, because they want to have that money to reach that product to me. I need to know that. My question is very simple, because today we are focused only on the healthcare products, especially medical devices, which is also a very important kind of a category of product in our country. But what I am looking at is, I don't want to infringe on the creativity and the competitiveness of the marketplace, where a person is able to give me a good quality product at a most affordable manner. I don't want to make that person go out of business. That's my first priority. My first priority is to give business to those manufacturers who gives me the best quality of world-renowned quality at the most affordable price. So there has to be a mechanism, and this is where I want to tell Rajiv ji. He talked about pilot, he has talked about a campaign, and we as consumers are more than willing to align with him and rally behind him to take it forward, provided he agrees to my proposal. My proposal is, all your members, 350 of them, comes out with a cost price and makes it public. And then you tell the consumers that, look, this is what is my price. And this is what is the MRP which we are putting, because this is what the margins are which we have to pay. How we can reduce it, that is what we need to work in a voluntary manner first, as a voluntary initiative, rather than bringing a law. Because the moment you bring a law, as you very rightly said, Rajiv ji, I agree with you fully, because that's my experience. Firstly, a law is made but doesn't get implemented in terms of the letter and spirit for which the law has been made. It doesn't get implemented. The consumer still suffers. So I don't want a law. I want that somewhere we should do some kind of a voluntary mechanism where we can show, like, a law came in, the stent prices went down, and many consumers who couldn't afford it were able to afford stent at a much cheaper price compared to the imported ones. But the imported ones you also mentioned are existing in parallel, and we are nothing against that. But we are definitely against that overseas market people. They are bringing refurbished, they are bringing substandard products in the country which are unsafe for patients, and we, with ignorance or lack of knowledge, we don't come to know that we are being put as victims, as guinea pigs for those equipments which have been scrapped in those countries. Now, we are definitely against such unhealthy, unethical practices which are unsafe for our citizens or our consumers. So what we want is homegrown industries like you all, who have from India gone overseas. You are now seen in more than 100 countries. So what I want to show to the country is that people like you should be encouraged. We want to see how products can be made more affordable. We don't want to kill competition. No, sorry. We as consumers, we want choice. We want competition. We want to see that, we get the right product in the right manner, as Praful Bhai mentioned, the best world quality. How can there be two different quality for the same product? One for export, one for domestic. Are we guinea pigs that you will dump substandard products on us and only export, you will send world-class products? No, sorry. You can't do that. The regulator has to be shaken up. There are regulators already there. If they are not doing their job, we have to wake them up. It is our job to wake them up. That's our job. That's what we have been doing for the last 45 years. Wherever they have gone wrong, we have told them they're wrong. They can't stop us from not speaking. We have to speak. That's our responsibility, our duty. So what I want to tell you all is, what I can come to know is, in today's conversation, and of course, the last word would be Rajiv ji and Praful Bhai and Sanjay, Chadha ji, and if some more people want to close after what I've said. See, we have to make the MRP process transparent, accountable, and rational for the consumers. And it has to be done in a rational, in a voluntary manner by the industry. Initially, if need be, if the industry doesn't listen to us, or if the industry is not getting that fear in terms of profiteering out of the consumer. As I said, it's an unfair trade practice. As per our Indian Constitution and as per the Consumer Protection Act of 2019, it is an unfair trade practice. And let me briefly tell you all how I call it an unfair trade practice. Because what I have always been saying is that what we need to know, that anything which is deceptive, fraudulent or unethical, and you use those methods by businesses to gain an advantage, mislead consumers, or restrict competition. These practices involve misrepresentation, product quality, false advertising, or non-compliance with safety standards, generally causing financial or physical harm to consumers. So the key aspects of unfair trade practices under the consumer protection laws, such as the Consumer Protection Act of 2019, these practices include misrepresentation, false advertising, false free offers, non-compliance with standards, hoarding or refusal or to sell. And common examples are misleading pricing, misleading advertisements, bargaining prices, tired selling. My only point which I want to make today is that we don't want as consumers to be confused and made, in such a manner that we feel that we are being cheated. The moment we feel we are being cheated, we have the right to raise our voice. Simple. And Sanjay Chadha, you have to understand that how do we go before the judicial system to ensure that we are heard, to ensure that these malpractices cannot continue anymore. That I go to a place, somebody tells me, I sell medicines at 80% discount. What is this rubbish going on? 80% discount? Why the hell is this MRP there if you're selling at 80% discount? How the hell you expect a consumer to know that you're going to sell at 80% discount and somebody's going to sell at 40%? All these discounts are nothing but unfair trade practice. Deceptive.
Absolutely right.
What my contention is, we should have one price where we don't need to bargain and we know that that price is the best price for that product.
Absolutely, and that is the need of the hour, I feel.
Yeah.
It is the need of the hour. I just say one line and
then we should start closing now. And I would like to hear Rajiv ji's final words and of course, Praful Bhai and
before Rajiv ji, I'll just say two lines. While just going through the legal history of this kind of questions, I had seen that there are two cases which have already been filed in the shape of PIL, and where the question which was asked and the conclusion is like this, that the court has said that government should look into it, otherwise we will be bound to intervene. So I feel the first thing, first is that still the court has not intervened. So this is one thing. Second, very important is, Rajiv ji, I would like you to tell us what way we can ask and what exactly we can ask. What should be our prayer, to be very specific? if at all we file a PIL on this issue. And I think it's a very relevant issue from the point of view of the consumer. What should be our prayer now? And how, the court will ask, what do you want? So we'll say that, look, this kind of mechanism should be there, which I have written on page number 16, whatever. So this is what is the mechanism. It should be adopted. This is the fair mechanism. This is the mechanism which says that, look, this is the right way of coming into it. And the current system has really failed. So this is what I want you to tell us.
Thank you, Sanjay ji. Thank you, Mr. Bijon Mishra. And thank you all the participants who've voiced your thoughts. Very, very welcome suggestions, very, very welcome feedback. I'll start with the queries first. Mr. Praful Sheth rightly raised, first and foremost is regarding quality. MRP linkage to quality. Or how does the consumer realize the value for the money that is paying is in terms of quality or safe quality or best quality? Now, quality is something which is very variable. When you manufacture a product, you can make a product whose quality will bear the bare minimum standard of quality defined in a product standard. Normally, regulations seek those standards to be met for consumer protection or patient safety. Those standards are the bare minimum performance standards. Good quality manufacturers will make their product performance to be superior than that bare minimum product specification or product standard. Only when you give more than the minimum, if your dosa is more tasty than the average dosa, then only you have delight. So manufacturers who are making their own voluntary standards in their company higher than the bare minimum standards are the ones which will be having an upliftment. So these are voluntary standards. One is the mandatory standard, the legal standard. You meet the Drug Act, you meet the medical device rules. Product is safe to use. It's not killing people, but it is still not the best. So this is the part which comes in of quality. And then every manufacturer linked to his vision, linked to his brand, will define what his quality parameters will be. So some of us who want to compete with the best in the world will give you equivalent of what is best in the world. Some of us who realize that I cannot get these raw materials, I cannot compete in price, I cannot compete in this, they will compromise, they will use slightly cheaper raw materials, cheaper imports, cheaper packaging, and try to be competitive by pricing, trying to be more affordable, trying to be more competitive. Then they will naturally be sacrificing certain quality angles over there, and the quality may not be as good as of a premium quality product. So you will always have difference in quality. When you buy mobile phones or televisions, you will choose when you are looking at different things in different manners over there. In medical devices, it becomes a challenge. You're not the expert. It's not every day that you go buy sabji bhaji. You do not know what is a catheter, what is a pacemaker, what is single chamber, what is double chamber, what is silver lead, what is leadless. And the more doctor tells you and more you talk to your friends and doctor friends, the more they confuse you. So over here, first part is, of course, our regulatory system should ensure that the basic quality which is entering the market should be safe. Currently, we have regulations, but I'm sorry to say they don't even do that. So what is entering the market is not really being tested. And when it is being tested, it may not be having the laboratories to test. We don't have the infrastructure to test. And even manufacturers not able to have the affordability to make their own testing equipment or their laboratories to test. So if the standard says 15 things, they may test only 3 things and sell in the market. Rest 12 items, they don't have the cash available to put up that 5 lakh rupees or 20 lakh rupees or 1 crore rupee laboratory to make all the tests. The government has allowed them to use external laboratories, but even external laboratories don't exist in India. That is the reality of India, what is happening. So partially tested products enter the market. But even then, it comes off performance, clinical performance. So people who will take feedback from the doctors and the nurses will try to make the product better by experience and by getting the learning curve. So this is where quality comes in, and certain brands will then stand out. by customer experience, by doctor's experience. Doctors will prefer to use certain quality products because they don't want to use a blade which is not sharp and then throw away the blade. So even though he may want to have the profit margins from the MRP, they will also draw a line that they will not accept shoddy quality. This is one part. Second part to be mentioned is about cost-based pricing. Now, cost-based pricing has been done in the past. In pharmaceutical industry, it has failed. So I would strongly desist from using a cost-based basis, because once government and regulators come into being, and which is also happening in scheduled pharma pricing, in capped medical device pricing, when they link it to a very strict wholesale price index or retail price index of 3%, 5%, the reality, like today's date, the war is happening. We all know the cost is up. But if it's going to be a non-sustainable increase to make a product, then people will stop making the product. So you will have medicines which will be stopped being made. You will have medical devices not stop being made. Manufacturer will say, I have a range to make. I will make not this product. I'll make another product which is more profitable. So many essential medicines were being forced to be made, where manufacturers were wanting not to make also because profitability went too low. So that's why cost-based pricing, let us not get into that because it has been a failed experiment. Now, the third area is regarding the area which has been mentioned is about how Amazon and such kind of people are able to give huge discounts. Well, they're able to give huge discounts because, like I mentioned, if the MRP is going to be 10 times or 20 times the ex-factory price, then even at half the price, if it is 20 times, for example, and if I reduce by half, I'm still having 10 times the profit margin to be given to the whole supply chain. But yes, the doubt comes in the consumer's mind, like Mr. Bijan Mishra rightly said, and if you'll see in the newspaper that suddenly cancer drug is available in Chandigarh, for example, Punjab, at 60% discount. And one will wonder whether it is a genuine drug or a repacked product or a fungus product, which is counterfeit medicine, which has been passed on to the patient at a discount and misled him. So malpractices will happen when the pricing is going to be genuinely high internationally, but somebody is trying to push the product with a huge discount. So that is definitely the consumers, I would say, correct fare when you find that too many deep discount is being offered कि दाल में कुछ काला है. 10-15 discount तो ठीक है, 25-30% दे रहे हो. I saw an article when Mr. Bijan Mishra had mentioned over there that for a hearing aid, somebody had offered, I think, 60 or 80% discount. And the patient was wondering that even that 60-80 seems to be, maybe he did not bargain strong enough. 60% discount, maybe he should have bargained higher for an 80% discount. He wasn't sure that even that 60% discount was a fair price given to him by a friendly distributor or doctor. So yes, I agree with you that deep discounting is an issue. Coming to Mr. Sanjay Chadha's remark about MRP. Why do we have MRP? Let us do away with MRP. No, and you also asked this question internationally, whether it is there or not. Well, internationally, people don't have MRP. In most cases, you have a MSP, maximum suggested price. So again, same thing over here. It's a safety net price. It's a safety net for a consumer. इससे ज़्यादा चार्ज नहीं करना, बट लोगों को ये मालूम है कि इससे कम पे माल मिल सकता है. अब वो मिले ना मिले बात और है, या वो उस पर भी MSP पे माल बेचे. अमेरिका में भी ऐसी होता है कि जहाँ पर MSP होती है, MSP पे माल बेचते हैं. लेकिन जहाँ पर you can negotiate a discount with a car dealer or something like that, you will negotiate a discount. But it is something like what we have in MRP only. It's not really much difference. At the same time, when we are exporting, nobody is asking us to label the product. So we are not part of that choice for the consumer. Now, in most countries like in Europe, the choice of the label or what price the product will be sold to the consumer is not the price at which manufacturer decides. The fair pricing is decided by the end retailer. So if he's selling Evian water, he's selling Coca-Cola, he's selling Budweiser beer, he will not charge different pricing from different consumers walking to his shop. So that's how they've defined fair pricing in those countries over there. A rich man walks in, he will charge him arbitrarily higher price. a poor man walks in and he will give him a lower price. That arbitrary price fiction is not there. So the fundamental of fair price internationally is fair price, same price to all consumers, to my retail outlet or my hospital. That is what is termed over there as a fair price. Now, the onus of that fair price is on that retailer and on the last part of the supply chain. Here, unfortunately, because of the consumer Raj protection, which came in because of the shortages 40, 50 years back, and people trusting the Tatas and Birlas more, they decided कि manufacturer पे onus डालो कि वो decide करेंगे कि क्या ठीक price है. And now we are caught in the same bind that we cannot succeed in the market. You've heard my other manufacturers friends also wanting to help you consumers like Mr. Manish Sabarwal, Mr. Gagan, but failing to satisfy you because we're caught in that bind. How do we survive in the market? So again, very good suggestion, for example, has been given by two people over here. So one is regarding putting the onus, and that has been tried in the past in Delhi government, that let us put the onus on the hospital. So there was I think a court case or something like that, or a regulatory suggestion which came out from Delhi government, which finally did not go through, that let us cap the margin at which hospital will sell to the consumer or to the patient will not be more than 50% of his purchase price. 50% is a quite considerable margin. If he still thinks, like Mr. Mishra said, कि आप चाय 2 रुपए की है, आप देखते हो कि ढाबे वाले को 10 रुपए ठीक है देना, जो मैं घर 2 रुपए की बनाऊंगा, लेकिन मैं 5 स्टार में एम्बियंस के लिए, एटमोस्फेयर के लिए, कंडीशन कमरे में बैठने के लिए 300 रुपए देने के लिए तैयार हूं. तो इधर भी यही हाल है. अगर आप लगता है आपको हॉस्पिटल में, अगर आपको 2 रुपए की सिरिंज के लिए आपने 20 रुपए देने हैं, और हॉस्पिटल जस्टिफाई करता है कि जी मैंने इसके लिए सर्विस चार्ज मैंने अप्लाई करना है, तो उसके लिए माय काउंटर आर्ग्यूमेंट इज वेरी सिंपल दैट in many products, when you are making a building, when you are making a contractual arrangement, you have the material price, you have the service charge. हम फैक्ट्री बना रहे हैं, घर बना रहे हैं, अपार्टमेंट बना रहे हैं, कोई कारपेंटर से फर्नीचर बना रहे हैं, तो एक मटेरियल प्राइस होती है, ये बिल ऑफ क्वांटिटीज है, ये इसकी प्राइस है, ये मार्केट के दाम से, प्रॉफिट के हिसाब से हमने डिसाइड कर दी है. इतनी क्वांटिटी लगेगी, ज़्यादा लगेगी तो ज़्यादा, कम लगेगी तो कम, लेकिन रेट हमारा सेट है, उस पर आप इतना चार्ज करोगे. आप इतने नलके लगेंगे, इतनी टूटियाँ लगेंगी, तो उसके हिसाब से हम चार्ज करेंगे. लेकिन लेबर चार्ज ये है कि जी जितनी नलके और टूटियाँ लगेंगी उसके हिसाब से लगाने के आपके 50 रुपए. So once that rate is fixed for that labor part, let it be done in transparent manner. You can't expect a doctor to get less money than a NAI. If I am paying 1500 rupees to a NAI, I can't expect कि डॉक्टर मेरे को 400-500 रुपए में मेरा इलाज कर देगा. बट आई एम बीइंग मिसलेड कि वो 400-500 रुपए अगर वो मेरे को चार्ज कर रहा है और मेडिकल डिवाइस पे वो मार्कअप पे अपने आप को कॉम्पनसेट कर रहा है, तो इट इज नॉट ट्रांसपेरेंट फॉर मी एज अ कंज्यूमर. आई एम अ बेनिफिशियरी, आई एम ऑल्सो कंज्यूमर. So when I go to a hospital, I see this problem over there. And I see another problem in a hospital. हम लोग फैक्ट्री में कॉस्टिंग करते हैं टू बी कॉम्पिटिटिव, लेकिन हॉस्पिटल वाले कैसे कॉस्टिंग करते हैं? उनके लिए कॉस्टिंग करना बड़ा मुश्किल काम है, क्योंकि उन्होंने कॉस्ट को प्रॉपरली कैप्चर ही नहीं करा हुआ. So unless you are able to capture the cost properly, you cannot see where is my wastage, where I have extra labor, where my product is unnecessarily being burdened in costing because of something which can be optimized and can be reduced. तो मटेरियल की कॉस्ट मटेरियल में जाए, बिजली की कॉस्ट बिजली में जाए, लेबर की कॉस्ट लेबर में जाए. जब तक मैं रियलाइज नहीं करूंगा कि मेरी बिजली से कितनी कॉस्ट है, मैं तो बिजली को कम कैसे करूंगा, मोर एफिशिएंट मोटर कैसे यूज करूंगा, मोर एफिशिएंट टेक्नोलॉजी कैसे यूज करूंगा. So that is being lost in a hospital because they are not capturing honest costs. They're cross subsidizing and they're justifying that we are giving you less service charges from a doctor and from a cheaper nursing home room than a 5-star hotel or a 3-star hotel by taking profit from a medical device. But that is incorrect. Let us put the thing in the right box. So we have given you one formula, one solution, like I suggested over there, which we discussed amongst us manufacturers. Another formula solution is कि वो मैन्युफैक्चरर से ओनर से हटा दीजिए, चाहे एमआरपी हायर आने दीजिए, लेकिन एंड पॉइंट पे जो लास्ट रिटेलर है, जो लास्ट हॉस्पिटल है, वो 50% या 60% या 70% या 100% कोई फॉर्मूला बना दिया जाए ताकि उससे ज़्यादा चार्ज ना करें. एटलीस्ट वो 200-300% तो ना हो. So the idea is to bring in rationalization. Let us not deny any company's profits, any trader his profits. Everybody needs profits, but let us not have profiteering. It's the profiteering we are against, not against profits. Mr. Bijan Mishra, regarding your suggestion that manufacturers to come out and IMED members to give you our balance sheets or to give you our costing.
Balance sheets, not balance sheet.
Not balance sheet. Okay, even costing.
Just
Yes. No, I'll tell you honestly. I'll tell you.
tax.
No, I'll tell you honestly. So let me put it like this. What is my cost? It's now a question, very a businessman's question to you also. Let me explain to you. We have something called a gross profit margin. Okay. On which only the variable cost, the material cost, the labor cost is applied. Then from that, we reduce our overheads, which is the marketing cost and the sales cost. Okay. Then we have further cost reduction, which comes in from our financial cost of interest and depreciation.
Correct.
Then we come to profit before taxation. Then we have the tax and then we have the net profit.
Correct.
Okay. So there is various definitions of profitability and costs. That becomes a challenge over there कि हम किसकी बात कर रहे हैं. तो हम कहीं पे भी बात करेंगे वो क्वेश्चन मार्क आएगा. People will question the profit motive कि आप 40% ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट पे काम करते हैं, आप 15% पे पीपीटी पे काम करते हैं. तो उस पे ना जाके my recommendation is we just go to what is happening in terms of fair competition. Fair competition today it is at what price the products are entering in the market. We see at what price our manufacturing competition is selling to the distributor. What price the importing competition is selling to the distributor. जिस प्रोडक्ट मार्केट पे एंटर करा जिस पे जीएसटी चार्ज होती है.
I meant that.
Okay. So that's not the cost. That becomes the price at which the products enter the supply chain on which GST is applied the first time.
Correct. So
that should be the starting point.
I'm also insisting on that. I mentioned that also. The price on which the taxation is being collected.
Now, certain things I'll tell you. Already certain states like Punjab and Kerala already have their state-wise regulation that when any invoice is being levied or being given on a medical product, whether pharmaceutical or hospital supply or a medical device, they have to put over there not only the transaction value and the GST value, but also they have to indicate the MRP. It's available on the invoice. Certain states are doing it, not every state is doing it. As a company, HMD is doing it on all our invoices. We are putting on every invoice the batch number, the ex-factory price on which the GST is charged, the discounted price, and also the MRP.
Why can't we start from there?
That is a way to capture that. That's why I said the first point is to start capturing the base ground. आपने पतंग उड़ानी है, धागा आपने सबको सेम देना है. सब लोग सड़क से काइट उड़ाइए या सब लोग तीसरी मंजिल से काइट उड़ाइए. अगर इंपोर्टर तीसरी मंजिल से काइट उड़ाता है और हम सड़क से उड़ाते हैं, धागा सबके पास सेम है, तो हमारी पतंग नीचे रहेगी. तो जिसकी पतंग ऊपर है वही नजर आएगी, वही जीतेगी. तो इधर भी यही चैलेंज है हमारे लिए. स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट ये. दैट्स व्हाई आई सेड लेट अस हैव सम पायलट्स and let's push this idea forward. Regarding litigation, which Mr. Sanjay Chadha mentioned, unlike Mr. Bijan Mishra, I don't believe in litigation. I don't believe to go to the courts. That is why for more than 10-20 years, we keep on persevering in trying to convince bureaucrats and policymakers rather than using the litigation approach of going through the courts. As manufacturers, normally one is on the receiving end of litigation and one is not trying to make the government into the litigant. It's the other way around, that the government may try to make us into a litigant, but normally we will not try to do that. But yes, as consumers, you got every right for doing that. But like Mr. Sanjay Chadha himself said, the law is very simplistic and in a way it's unfair. And like he mentioned, in a way it's stupid. Now, if you have a law which everybody is going to be breaking, if Mr. Bijon Mishra mentioned over there unfair trade practices, unfair this, unfair this, unfair this, well, then we are all guilty to that unfairness because we are all putting in misleading high MRPs. If you are having a highway which is designed for 150 kilometers per hour driving and we want to catch up with the world, and we put a board over there, don't drive more than 60 kilometers per hour. And if everybody is going at 80, 90, 120 kilometers per hour, all of us are breaking the law. Then that camera and that policeman at the end of the road will be stopping all of us and be taking money from all of us. So let us have laws and rules which are implementable and reasonable. If we have something which is not reasonable, it cannot be implemented. So I'm in the same position like Mr. Sanjay Chadha. On what basis we can have a litigation? Because unless you have a position where hospital is charging more, the MRP is not breaking the law. If he's charging as per the MRP, he is with the law. If it's 5% lower than the MRP, also he is with the law. But he's still not given you the fair price. So how do we achieve the fair price? Can be the hospital formula or can be the manufacturer formula. There was also one time a discussion many years back. It was applied in the case of Coca-Cola and televisions, where you had GST applied on the MRP, or excise duty in those days applied to the MRP. So the higher the excise duty, if the higher the MRP, the higher would be the excise duty. The excise duty was only made 1%. But that made the manufacturers put the MRP as low as possible because they didn't want to pay high taxes. That is another way of doing it. So there are 2-3 mechanisms for doing that. We can put that forward and try to meet the policymakers and also the other stakeholders, like I mentioned, the importers, the doctors, the hospitals. There are ethical people everywhere. Not everybody is trying to loot. Not every hospital is trying to loot. Not every doctor is trying to loot. So let us get the like-minded ethical people together and put forward our case so that we're able to convince policymakers to allow us at least some pilots to show that how it can be done in a proper manner. Those are my thoughts. Thank you.
Good, very good. Thank you. So I would now request Praful Bhai to kindly summarize and propose the vote of thanks. Praful Bhai.
Thank you, Vijayanda, and such a lovely conversation we had today with so much a complex a subject of MRP. I think the understanding of the whole thing has been made so clear by Rajiv Nath. And actually, I feel that, to be fair, we have to be fair to all the stakeholders. I remember Rajiv ji's factory, the way it was yesterday and what it is today. Rajiv ji, the whole evolution, the way it has taken place, I think you have a world-class factory today. You can't be compared with somebody who is just starting or he's just a small scale or whatever it is. Yet, your definition of quality is excellent. Yes, there can be a change. Minimum standards are too minimum and they are just, but you have to be very careful to see that you don't walk into the substandard or the counterfeiting part of it. Very well and very nicely advised to all of us today. Cost and prices are very complex issues. And I think it may differ for industry to industry. And I think to be fair, as you have rightly said, we have to be fair to all the stakeholders. Take them into confidence and see, India has evolved a lot. And I'm sure that it will evolve as we go further. And with people like you, I think, and Bijon Mishra and Sanjay Chadha and so many good people who were there in the conversation today, I think a lot of doubts have to be cleared. I think this is what is necessary. Thank you very much for this enlightening talk. And thank you all for joining us today. We had a very good participation. I think when it started, we were more than 30 people. And I think in recent times, Bijanda, it has been very well done. I tell you, congratulations to you too. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's all
And
good effort
the
of all of us.
other thing is, Praful sir, that in the other platform which is not visible here, I'll send you the link later on. It is become now this is a property of the. I mean, everybody can see it
It's a
all
talking
the
point.
time. It is live. So YouTube
Yeah.
link I'm going to share,
Yeah.
where already we have 300 plus people.
Yeah.
So-
And just one point before closing, I would say that Sanjay, Rajiv ji, an erstwhile drug controller of India, had once called me up at a very odd hour and said, Prafulji, just work out what is the cost of GMP. Now, you know, how do you work out the cost of GMP? Because your GMP cost is going to be X. Somebody else's is going to be much less than or much higher than that. So, you know, cost of GMP, in order to apply to the cost and price, you know, it would be impossible. So I think there are so many variables here that to put them together and come up with a formula, it's a mammoth task. But beyond
No, no,
this
no,
point,
that is why-
having ultimately a
that is why-
regulator there who can collect and give us a dynamic data and create a dynamic platform, I think that is what is necessary.
You see,
Otherwise,
Praful,
this
there are only
GLP-1 drugs is a good example. It should have been managed right in the beginning, but today, you know, from 25,000, we are now talking of 4,000 or 5,000. It may still come down. This is not the trust building for the consumers, frankly. Thank you.
Praful bhai, the only thing, the closing words I would share with my friends who have stayed back. All over the world, as it is mentioned, that the retailer decides at what price they will sell to the consumer. All over the world. Now, that has become viable in developed countries because there is a large amount of awareness amongst consumers and also the regulatory mechanism to ensure that there is no profiteering. You see, today, if you go to Germany, for example, there are consumer groups who are constantly watching at what price what is being sold, which retailer is selling at what price. The consumer organization is looking at it very minutely, studying it, analyzing it out of taxpayers' money, which has been given to them by the government to do that work. Similarly, the regulator is also engaging experts in monitoring the market condition to ensuring that there is no unfair trade practice going on in the marketplace. Now, unfortunately, in our country, you know, there is no mechanism which is credible, which you can trust. As a consumer, how can I trust? That's why I'm telling Rajiv ji that let's develop a voluntary mechanism first before we go for, you know, any kind of a regulatory intervention. That how we can ensure, like, you know, like a law came, stent got affordable at a certain price. Now, what is happening after that, nobody knows. As a consumer, I really do not know what is happening after that. Now, that study, you know, like we recently brought out a study on the functioning of the district commission, state commission, and national commission in terms of complaint redressal in the country. Now, that study was done by a third party, by a citizens group. Now, they could do it because they had the resources, they managed to get the funding to do that work. Now, I am saying such things should be institutionalized. You know, it should be done like the study we did, you know, with NIB on the percentage of substandard product or not of quality products in the supply chain of drugs, where 47,000 samples were collected and tested very scientifically. Now that money, 8.5 crores taxpayers' money was spent, and we exactly know now nobody can challenge us in terms of the you know, the data which has emerged out of that study. But how much discussions have taken place? Our recommendations, how much has been implemented? So we don't see that. We don't see that. So what my contention is, till we don't bring an institutionalized mechanism we'll never be able to resolve this game. It will always be a, cat and mouse going on. What my contention is that we have to, with the help of industry, with the help of the government, with the help of consumer groups, we have to come out with certain. Why do we go to the judicial system? Because we want to make sure that there is some directive given to the government to do certain things like what we have decided today in this conversation. Now, how do we do that? Of course, we'll write letters, we'll give our representation, but we can't wait indefinitely because consumers are being cheated every day, every minute. How can we keep waiting indefinitely? We have to find a solution. How do we find that solution? And the only way I see is that I have to go and pray before our learned counsel, Sanjay Chadha-ji, and like he's asking, what should be the prayer? And I'm telling him, my prayer is, please protect me. How will you protect me? That's my prayer. You define, you develop that prayer. Why are you throwing the ball in my court? You do it. You know the constitution better than I do. You know the law better than I do. So you go before the judicial system and pray on our behalf in terms of so that we get remedies, we get prompt redressal, we get quick results in terms of our protection and value for money. Today we are not getting. And when we are not getting, we are having this discussion. So I'm very happy that we have come to some conclusion where I think if I can conclude saying that Rajiv ji and group has agreed that we would work towards some pilot. How we will work towards that needs to be understood. How we will be able to convince the judicial intervention to recognize that and give a directive, or in what way we want the regulation to come, all that needs to be understood. And I think we should close here for today.
थैंक यू सर.
Thank you.
सर हमको बहुत फायदा हुआ. मैं सब कुछ समझ गया. अब एक से एक स्टोरी लिखूंगा मैं.
Good.
इस कन्वर्सेशन से हमको सबसे ज्यादा फायदा हुआ. मैं
आपको
ये सब नहीं कॉस्ट वगैरह मैं
So
समझता रहा.
now we will close the live streaming. I would request Amidit to do so. Amidit.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
Thank you, Rajiv ji.
Thanks for the
Great to have
opportunity.
you, as usual. Keep
Thank you.
supporting us. Keep supporting.
Thank you.
राजीव जी,
sir.
प्रणाम राजीव जी.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.